Over the winter time, we had an unusual message to the Fjuka website saying, "Good evening team, I'm not a match angler or even very good. However, I've been disappointed with your range so far, but it could be me. So here's my offer. I'll meet any member of your team within 100 miles of Leeds to prove me wrong. If you're confident your products are as good as the ads, then invite me, show me the way, in total secrecy. Nobody will ever know. Regards, Kurt, Leeds." Now, we do things a little bit differently, so I said, why not? Let's get out and meet this guy. He's an army veteran. There's no fancy filming here. It's all done by our mobile phones, as and when we're fishing. This is what happened.
I love this. This is proper. I can tell, I mean, you're a proper bloke, because we get so many people who say to us online, they say, put little snide comments, and they never actually put the money where their mouth is and say, come and meet us. I'm very confident that today we're going to get you catching loads of fish on Fjuka.
It's a fair question, isn't it? Is it the angler or is it the bait?
Well, we'll find out, won't we, by end of play today. Hopefully I've learned from you two and you put me on the right path.
Kurt's called us out, and these things we're going to show you today can be used at any still water or commercial, basically. Got 3 great methods. Let's go.
Let's go.
Do it. Yeah.
Kurt, the first bait we're going to show you today, squeeze ready. This is made for the method feeder. So we've got original and sweet method pellets. We might use a bit of method mix as well. So these are 2mm, ready done, no foul preservatives, just sensate and water in. This time of year, spring, 6 degrees today, folks.
Yeah,
so
it's still quite cold, isn't it?
It's going to be tough today, I think. It's been a lot of rain overnight. We've got this basic running rig. It's a 26 gram, it's a small method feeder. I'd always go for the smallest method feeders that you can find, especially in spring, because you can always pack them with more and more layers. But there's obviously, there's less of a feeder going in than a big one. So you don't want to be crashing big feeders in spring or winter. And we're on the Don Lake at Forest Lane today. There's some big fish in here, and so 4 inches of 6-pound line, 16 hook. Again, it's not too big a hook because it's still colder water. We could step up to a 14 a bit later if we start getting some big fish. What hook baits have you used so far from Fjuka?
Wafters. Yeah, with the wafters.
Yep. We've got sinkers and we've got wafters. I'm going to try sinkers today, I think, just because they're a little bit of a bigger, heavier bait.
Yeah.
And they're just a good bait for the feeder as well as the wafters.
Yeah.
And they go really nice on a band.
What colours do you prefer this time of year?
I think your pinks, yellows and oranges. Definitely.
This time of year?
Yeah, definitely brightish. That goes straight on a hair rig there. And it's literally a case.
But it's time saving because it's instantly ready for you, isn't it?
Exactly.
Instantly ready for you.
And it's these have been so popular because we do these little bags.
Yeah.
If you want, only going for an hour or so, or evening, or if you're in a match and you suddenly want to try the method, but you don't want to wait ages for them to soak.
Yeah.
You can open a little bag.
And you're straight into it, aren't you?
Or a big bag for the full session.
If you want to use a mould, you can use a mould as well.
Precisely, that's what they're made for. I don't always use moulds. I just I like to tailor exactly how much, but that's still a fair old chunk, is that?
Yeah.
You just tidy it off a little bit so it's a bit more neat and streamlined, and you're ready to go. Basically, that's exactly what Squeeze Ready is designed for.
Perfect.
I'm going to start on this method feeder while we prime the bomb line. Now the first job of the day is to clip up. Always make use of your line clip. We've got an island here, it's an obvious obvious place to cast, but you can also catch some method feeder in open water as well over a bit of loose feed. But we're going to start on this island because we've been a bit of disturbance on the bank today with all three of us and the cameras. Just a nice gentle. It's just a little bit too far, just hit the mud bank there, so we'll just take a tiny bit off that and clip up again. It's the wrong way to do it really, because we should be really working our way up to the island gradually and taking a little bit of line off and re-clipping up every time. But luckily we didn't get too stuck in that island then. Short there.
Perfect.
So again, I'm not going to use a mould, I'm just going to put a basic layer there on
Yep.
to start with. And I know there's quite a few silverfish in here, so I'm not going to have a little amount of bait on a little feeder. I'm going to start with quite a good bit of feed, I think,
Yeah.
for the feeder to start with. But just on them small feeders, you can really pile them
Pile it
up.
on top, yeah.
Yeah, you
See
can
that,
just
yeah.
keep going
Yeah.
almost, rather than using a big feeder really wide. So, hook bait's a nice tonight. See, that's stayed on lovely. Is that
Yep.
squeeze ready? And again, just going to give ourselves about 5 foot of line maybe between the float and the float. We're fishing a feeder. The float at the feeder and the quiver tip, and we're just going to go in. Plop. Get that plop sound as we,
Yeah.
right at the last minute, you bring your rod back, hit the clip and back down, and that creates that slack line.
Yep.
So a lot of people are hitting the clips when the clip's up, hitting it there when it's in front of them,
Yeah.
and then sometimes if there's any depth, the feeder's actually getting dragged up towards them on a tight line. So we've got plenty of slack there to work with, just so we're not moving the feeder towards us, and also if we're lucky enough to hook a big fish.
Yeah.
And then you just take up this slack very gently, you'll see it on the surface.
Yeah.
And as it starts to tighten up a little bit, we just dunk the rod under the surface like that, and you can see the two ends of the line meeting in the middle there,
Yeah.
and they're just about to meet in the sun. And then I've got my 2 rod wrists here.
How long's the breakdown going to be? How long are we expected to leave it in there, do you think?
Well, just had a little bit of line in. The breakdown of the pellets is pretty much, every time we've done it in the tank with Tommy on the bank, it's about 30 or 40 seconds really,
Yeah.
when they come off the
Yeah.
feeder. It's on video, we've done it a few times. And it's perfect really, because you don't want them to come, if you chuck a feeder in, for let's say you've got a load of fish in the peg, and it goes round as you're tightening your line up, that tells you your pellets are coming off too quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's obvious, and it's spread out too much. Whether you want that ball to go down, that method ball, sit on the lake bed,
Yeah.
flat with your flat feeder,
Yeah.
and then you just want it to obviously come out like that and expose your hook bait over about 30-45 seconds,
Yeah.
and it's all nice and neat then for a fish that will go hoover it up basically.
Yeah.
Don't know how long it's going to take today because it's a lot of rain, it's quite cold. We might not be on the right hook bait, we might need to go down to a 6mm sinker. We've started on an 8mm quite positively.
Yeah.
Again, we're getting that slack line. Well, was that second chuck?
Second chuck, that one, yeah. And what colour are we on? Pink, aren't we? What colour are we on?
We're a pink 6mm, we just went down, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't, yeah.
So this
yeah.
is
That's
second
chuck.
chuck.
Lovely.
Second chuck, and I think we've got a carp on. It looks like a ghosty almost, doesn't it? It's, I don't think it's one of the big fish that are in here, but this is the essence of squeeze ready, that it's, if there's fish there, it's pretty instant.
Yeah. And it had a big take, wasn't it?
It was just, we had a liner, and it was just, as I say, you're not always going to get one first chuck, are you?
No, no.
But it was, I wasn't going to leave it out too long, keep a bit of activity and pellets going in, so we gave it 4 or 5 minutes, did we?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
and then we're, with that sinker on nailed to the pellets, that heavier hook bait, and I'm going to have to be careful here because I've got a cameraman and you. I don't want to knock either of you out with this landing net pole over Tom's head. And I'm warning you, I might be a bit dangerous with this. Yeah, a ghosty, I think, yeah. On the method feeder. And there we go.
Super.
So that's how you catch on a method feeder with Fjuka. And again, if you get a lively fish like this, don't be, you know, juggling it and things. If you get a fish, you've got a nice sort of landing net here, not too large, not too small, and you can just use your legs to cushion it, and almost like a hammock here. So it's contained here is the fish. It's not jumping around anywhere. It's trapped between your legs, but obviously we're not putting any. The hooks actually come out, thankfully. And I'll show you him quickly, even though he's a bit lively. It's a nice ghosty. I'm not gonna lift him too high because he's very lively. But lovely scales on that ghosty. No, it's not happening now. I think he's going to go back. But yeah, there we go. Second cast with squeeze
very
ready.
Impressive.
This works best really to prime it up first. We're going to feed a bomb line first. So we're going to use a 2-in-1 5mm for that, which is a nice size, really nice catapulting size. And again, straight from the bag, ready to go.
So no preparation needed.
No, straight hook them, or hair it. You might just be able to band them. But you can definitely straight hook those 5mm. And again, the thing with pellets, they're pellet type bait, is you don't feed loads at a time, so you don't, especially in spring. So we're just going to start with about 5.
5 at a time.
Yeah, I mean it's. Again, I'm going to pick a. It's probably a little bit far, but we're going to go about 3/4 of the way over, a bit towards this wide bit, towards your peg a little bit. I think we might have one more cast while we prime that bomb line.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always better if you can loose feed them pellets for a while and get a few fish in the area on the bomb line. It helps.
Yeah. So what we're going for again? We're going for the pinky.
Why change?
Yeah.
Why change that winning?
Yeah. It seems to be working, doesn't it?
So we'll go for a pink one, and again, I'm not going to go mad with the feed again. Just about how much I put on last time.
Super.
A few squeezes. You know,
trim it off before it goes out.
Yeah, once that goes in, that'll be 30-40 seconds, it'll be down. So we'll try for that tree again. We're just about to get done in the island here by the looks of it. We're not careful. This is a bigger fish. Come out. So did you see what we did there, Kurt?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah.
We've had a few chucks now, and there's a little bit of activity. So we actually moved tighter up to the island.
We could actually see the reeds moving, couldn't we? That's why we moved in a touch more.
And I think with a bit more cover there, I think the fish probably felt safer, really tight. And sometimes on some fishes, you often barely get a bite unless you're clipping that grass on the island, which is more in summer.
Yeah.
But so we've moved up the shelf a little bit, and straight away bigger fish again. What, fourth or fifth cast?
Yeah,
Maybe we've had
yeah,
a couple of carp
yeah.
now, so it has been pretty quick fishing.
And a good big solid take, wasn't it?
Yeah, again that little stop on the feeder, the quick the bead there, the feeder bead, just helped hook that without too much tension on the tip. This is a bit of a plodder. And there we go, a common. A nice common. Again, just trapping between your legs there so he's not damaging himself. Just in a little bit of a hammock in the net there. Needed the scourger for him. I've just put an orange one on as well.
And what size was that?
An orange, still a 6mm.
6mm again.
An orange sinker. If we're getting problems with skimmers and roach, then I'll probably put an 8mm on, but
Yeah.
you can get away with a smaller bait today with it being quite cold still, and there you have him. Now this is a great way of catching when fish are responding to loose feed, especially in pellet venues and where method works, bomb works as well, I always think. And I actually think the bomb will be a better bet today because there's literally no wind today and the fish can hear and see everything that's happening. We've got a nice light bomb there to minimise any kind of disturbance, so it's plop straight in, and then the pellets go over the top, and there's no big weight or explosion almost.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's almost a very
Yeah.
stealthy way of fishing. And this is 10 grams. It's a pellet bomb by Matrix. It's got a little same bead there
Yeah.
that was on the feeder, just a little
yeah.
momentary little semi-bolt almost, but that will easily slide up and down the line. And a lot of people fish too long a hook length, I think, with bombs, because so the longer you go, the less of a hooking properties, self-hooking properties you get, really. They have more line to play with, but you can go too short. But as I say, I've got about 10 inches here to start with. You can always shorten that later, but I think that's a good starting point for a bomb. And you just have it away from the hook bait, a little bit away from the lead.
So what size hook have you gone for again?
Again, 16.
Yeah.
It's another month or so. I might go up to 14s or 12s even in summer, but 16's up to start with. And what we're going to fish and feed on this one again is the 2-in-1 bait that we've been steadily building up this line for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've got the natural 5mm, but on the hook we're going to use. We could use a variety of things on the hook, and we can certainly try them a little bit later. But I'm going to use the bigger versions of these, which is the Fat Boys, which are about 10mm. And the best way I think to hook these is going to be with a little stop on the rig.
Yeah.
A little spike that you can use to go through the bait on a hair rig. So you just have a little tool like that, or you can use a pole float. You just go through them like that, through the other end, and you could probably band these as well. And there they sit nice like that. You've got a hair rig, not too long a length between the actual bait and the hair.
Yeah.
Couple of mil. And now this is all about sort of creeping this in and getting a little plop. And all I like to do is, again, we've got a rough marker, but you don't have to be as precise as you do with the feeder.
And we've been pre-baiting this, haven't we, for us?
Yeah. And what we're going to do is get a few pellets straight on that little straight over where I've chucked that, well, I can still see the ripples of
where it landed, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to be precise with a bomb. You can spread it around a little bit of an area, and you can get fish competing. But as I say, we'll have to see if this is as good as the method feeder today. If they're responding to those loose pellets yet, those loose 2-in-1s. We'll see. But the good thing as well is, tighten this up a little bit.
Ben, you've got one.
Well, I was going to say,
You have time to put it down. Wonderful.
I haven't quite got my line sorted down. It's gone
Straight away.
The cameraman Tom just literally had to tell me that my rod was going. So, was that instant fishing?
Instant, absolutely instant. You hadn't even set up, had you? Not got it on your rod rest.
We've not scripted this or anything,
No,
folks. So
no.
we're still tangled up. So, but that's just priming that bait a little, that swim a little bit, and
the second line has worked perfectly there, hasn't it?
just priming it down the shelf in the deeper water. And I've had a feeder rod on my other rod, and this is a slightly lighter bomb rod, just for shorter chucks and sort of lighter weights and things, 10 grams. So it's a little bit of a finer sort of tip and a lot more progressive action with a bomb. You don't tend to cast bombs quite as far as you do methods, so if you're fishing over your loose feed, so it'll be a little bit more of a parabolic rod choice here, but it's more fun, to be honest. Oh god, it nearly did us under my own platform.
Underneath, yeah.
That's what not concentrating does.
Well, you did say it's more fun.
It was more fun.
They've all been very lively up to now.
I think they're just waking up, aren't they?
Yes, they've all been very lively.
It's another ghost kind of thing, I think. Yeah, they're really pulling, aren't they? Got like an orange kind of coin thing.
Got the far together.
But yeah, that's what happens with that bomb. Just resting a sec. With that bomb, that's what can happen.
Yeah.
Your bait's instantly exposed. You get that loose feed in, you get your bait on top of it straight away, and it's all falling down. And
it's literally spontaneous, though, wasn't it? It within seconds, it's second.
That's how quickly they respond to loose feed and 2-in-1 bait as well, with the sensating stuff. It's straight down on it, and it's you know, you get a little bit of a fall from the hook bait as well.
Yeah.
But with a 10-inch hook length.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Wow.
There you go, he's behaving himself.
Wonderful colours.
It looks like it's come from Eddie's pond, that. His garden pond. It's
Wonderful
lovely.
colours.
So that was pretty quick. There you go. So how many casts have we had now on the bomb?
I'm going to say 3.
And this is fish number 2.
2, yeah.
But again,
that's using the big boys again, isn't it? The
Fat
10
boys.
mil. Fat boys.
Fat boys.
Fat boys, get it right, fat boys. They're 10 mil.
To be honest, we do a sumo as well.
Oh, right, okay.
No, they are big.
For summer.
But yeah, I mean, sumos, why not? You know, for big fish.
Yeah. They're very positive bites, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Very positive, aren't they?
Again, with that kind of shortish hook length and sort of the tip.
Yeah.
Quite a bit more tension in the tip. And yeah, we just chucked that out again, haven't
Literally,
we? Just
yeah.
coming to that within
Less than a minute, I'd have said. Less than a minute anyway.
A minute of that little plop and the loose feed again, and that's what they're responding to. So this 2-in-1 bait does work if you're going to feed it and hook it and present it right. So another long common, very long here today. And I think we've got to let you have a go now, haven't we?
It's about time. It's about time.
I think to try for yourself the methods we've just shown, your bomb and method feeder.
Yeah.
Nice common. It's definitely your go. We're just going to set Kurt's feeder up for him. So he's got an inline small feeder like we recommended, and these feeder beads. You put the biggest bit through the line and then through the tiny little hole in the ends kind of connector. And all we're going to do here, this is just a really easy way, we're going to twizzle up this end bit of line. Just like that. So you just use your fingers like that. You hold that end and you use your fingers to twizzle the line up and double it up. And it creates a thicker, stiffer bit of line at the end. And now what we're going to do, we're going to make sure this isn't as long as the feeder, because we don't want the knot to be above the feeder, we want it to be free running. So we're just going to go about there. You double it over like that on top of itself to create a loop, and then with your first finger go through it and over twice like that, and then put that through, put this connector through that loop there, and that gives you a figure of 8. And then you just wet that, pull it tight, trim the tag off a little bit, and your hook length will go into there. Your hook length loop will fit into that little groove. You put the bead over it like that. You've got your double line there, and your feeder just runs over like that. The only thing I'd say, right, with this rod rest setup is I wouldn't advise that sort of rod rest for carp.
Right.
If you get a violet, you've seen how some of my bites were. Yeah. If you get a big bite there, your rod is very quite likely to go in.
Right.
And the other thing is, because the rod's there and we're fishing there, there's not enough angle, which is even more likely for your rod to get dragged in because there's not that cushion.
Right.
So what I would do is I would actually use this rest here at the front.
Yeah.
And I would actually point it in line with that tree maybe to give yourself more of an angle.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, maybe just have your rod resting on this maybe, just ready. But in future I'd definitely look to get one of them back grips. Them grips that I had. Because once your rod's in a grip, it literally, even with a rest like that, it still won't go anywhere.
Right.
But definitely get yourself a little bit more of an angle for when you get a bite.
Right.
We like it to the side, so you've got, when you get that bite, you've got that cushion of the bend in the tip and the top sort of third of the rod.
Yeah.
You just need to be a bit more in contact with the feeder there, so you need to sink your line a bit. We'd have this a little bit lower, just so the rod's probably a foot off the surface, just so it's less likely to. Just lower your rest down a bit, just then it won't get so affected by any wind, or it'll be a bit easy to sink. You either lower that or you bring it behind you. You raise the butt a bit like that, but that's a lot better now. Yeah, that's it.
Set up sorted now.
Here we go. How long's that taken?
Second cast, a couple of minutes, straight round. The whole rod went straight round. That's the second cast. That was wonderful. That was a big take.
That's what it says about having it a bit of an angle so you can see.
Quality fish is this.
And to be fair, the first cast we were messing around sorting your setup out, weren't we?
Properly, yeah. A few delicate changes and it's brought us a fish. Feels like a good fish, isn't it?
I'd hold your rod a little bit lower, just because it's a shallow venue, and you're trying to pull it to the top when it's already on the lake, and it's going to be more inclined to swim towards you if you've got the rod a bit lower.
Right.
You can raise it right at the last minute when you've got the net ready. You usually get one chance when you lift the rod, and if you don't get it first time with the net, then it can go off again. So I'd put a couple more winds in, a bit more angle. That's it. And get your net ready, extended. Probably want a couple more turns maybe. There we go. And watch it doesn't get under the platform.
Yeah. Well, they're not lethargic, are they? None of
Well,
them.
look at that. You see, that was your chance then.
Yeah, I know. Just like that. This is why I'm here. It's a learning curve.
This is why we're here indeed. And it's a pleasure, to be honest, Kurt, at the minute, to take you out fishing. It's a good comment, that. Whoa, 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 whoa.
There you go.
Now that is a nice fish.
That's that big. I'm going to use the unhooking mat.
Yep, shall we get the mat?
Yep, the mat's all ready. Second cast.
Brilliant.
I've been proved wrong already. Let's be right.
Right, Kurt, I'll give you my camera very quickly to show you something. Just what I saw with playing that fish, and some people might get a bit of use from that as well. I'm just gonna imagine we're playing a fish here. Now you were kind of reeling in quite a lot like that, which is all right with this small fish. But when you've got a big fish on like that common, you need to use the bend in the rod a lot more in case it goes off on one, and just to play it a lot better really by pumping and winding. And so rather than just reeling, use the whole bend in the rod, move it back, reel, take up the slack. Ease it back, using the bend in the rod, reel. So you're pumping and winding with the rod low, and you'll get the fish moving towards you a lot easier. And then when it comes into netting distance, you get your net ready. The last minute you've wound, you can see the fish is under the rod tip. You've got about 6 foot of line out, again using the bend. Last minute, lift your net, lift your rod up and and have the net ready, and you'll get that first chance. As long as you've got that net extended, ready, okay? And I wouldn't always put it in the water, because sometimes you can go like that and get it. But if you don't always get it first time, it can take 3 or 4 goes. So pumping and winding, and the last minute, lift up. And again. Couple more, no, 5 more. Ring the dinner bell again. 5 2-in-1s again over the top. Now, one of the things, Kurt, you've told me is that you've been told in the past to have your hook bait showing on top of the feeder.
Yeah.
Which for us is the wrong way to do it, because when it's on top, it'll fall. It'll be the first thing to fall, and your pellets can actually cover it, and it'll end up on the edges of the clump.
Yes. Yeah.
So when a fish comes and takes it, it might miss it.
Yeah.
And by putting it in the middle of the feeder, and to do that, it's easy with a mould. You're putting a good help in first, and then you're putting it in like that, and you have your line trapped in that gap, and then put another layer on for good measure like that, and then turn it over. That'll come out like that. You can't see it at all now.
No, yeah, it's completely covered.
And what happened? That first layer will take the impact and it'll fall off.
Yeah.
And then it'll expose the pink one right bang in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So fish number 2.
Fish number 2.
What's this one on?
So we just dropped down. I just dropped down to a 6mm rather than an 8 on a white. This time it's pulled the rod around.
So a wafter or a sinker?
Wafter, yeah.
Looks like a good fish again, that one.
Yeah, quality.
Oh yeah, Ben's tried to do that. Oh, you've got it. Oh, close, yeah.
Oh, hey, it's fighting out all the way. This is how not to do it, folks.
You've nearly got him. They do like that inside, don't they?
They do, don't they?
There he is, look. Well done.
Another one.
Lovely, Kurt, that is. I always say I'm a good person to help people with casting because I'm naturally the most cack-handed, useless hand-eye coordination person you'll ever meet.
Right.
But I've been shown a couple of tips that make me half decent.
Right,
I say
okay.
half decent in the loosest possible word. First thing,
Right.
I noticed when you cast, what you did,
Yeah.
you came straight back in one motion like that,
Yeah.
and then you cast it out like that. You sort of stop there, then you cast it.
Yeah.
Now the worst thing you can do when you cast is stop behind you, because you get a sway on the feeder.
Right, like it
So you can
is
see
now.
how it's
Yeah.
pendulum side to
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
And what happens then is
Yeah.
when you cast, it can fire off at any number of angles because you've got that left, right,
Yeah.
left, right movement, and then you cast and it goes off. So something that Tommy Pickering showed me years ago, which I think's a brilliant little tip. The first thing is, before you cast,
Right.
just get a little bit of a sway front to back on the feeder, a little bit of a pendulum like that.
Yeah.
And then your cast should be in one motion. It should literally be out like that, back, and as it comes back, it goes out like that. And then you hit your clip, your feeder goes plop. So obviously it's a little bit more force in the cast than you were putting in as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
That's the other thing I was going to say. Don't be scared of putting enough force to get you where you need to be. Hit the clip fairly high, and you should get that nice plop that we got there as that
Yeah,
feeder
yeah,
goes
yeah,
in.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing of all, if we do this again in a minute and it don't go in right, don't be afraid of winding in and redoing it, because unless that feeder goes in perfectly with a plop,
Yeah.
then in theory your bait's not
Right.
fishing. So
Right, I'm with it. Yeah, yeah.
we'll wind in and we'll see if that helps things for you. So the third way we're going to show you to catch fish on Fjuka is probably my favourite, and that is margin fishing on the pole. I like this because often you sort out the biggest fish in a lake by doing this. I have had a cheeky look. I was caught in the act as well and filmed, and I have already caught a big carp down the edge. So I've actually stepped everything up a little bit. Now I know the size of the fish in this lake. This is the 2-in-1 original 5mm bait. And the reason that I like this for deep margins in particular is because it's really, really heavy. Compared to maggots or pellets or casters or other baits we use for coarse fishing, this stuff is really, really dense. And for that reason, it sinks straight down to the bottom and stays there. Now, the worst thing you could have in a deep margin, and we've probably got about 4'2", 4'4" of depth there. The worst thing you can have in that sort of depth is fish coming up off the bottom as bait wafts up,
Yeah.
and that'll cause line bites, foul hookers and all sorts of problems. So I do like to keep them pinned down, and that bait really helps me to do that. So onto the setup, we've got red hydro elastic, which is rated about, I don't know, an 18, 16 to 18, something like that. So fairly strong elastic to help us tame them fish. I always think when it comes to edge fishing, as long as you've got the gear on to do it, like big hooks, big lines, use a big elastic. There's nothing clever about having elastic all over the lake and having to strip back and all that. I'd much rather have that bit of power in reserve if we need it. Mainline 019 reflow power. Float wise, I've got a 0.4 gram on there, and that's a Mick Wilkinson margin diamond. Now the thing I like about these, first and foremost, are super strong, which you need for margin fishing. A nice thick bristle, which really helps show up positive bites, and the fact that it's thick as well helps support bigger baits, so you can get that nice stable presentation that you're looking for. Going down the line, I've got a bulk of number 8 stots, and I have actually got one little dropper on this. Now if we were in shallower water than this, I'd actually bulk everything at the top of the hook length.
Right.
But because it's that bit deeper, I do like that dropper just to give me a little bit more of a fall. And the hook length's 4 inches long. Now a lot of anglers do like to fish straight through when it comes to edge fishing. But to me, the fact that you can change that last little bit if you get a bit of line damage or wear is really important, to be honest. And also, if your hook happens to blunt, you can just change it. So I always like to use a hook length. So the only other thing I'm going to talk about, because it's really important, is plumbing up. Now I've spent a little while plumbing this margin up here, and I've looked for a nice flat, hard area where I know I can feed the bait and the fish are going to be able to settle on it.
Yeah.
If you can take your time and find either a gradual slope or a slightly flat area to fish on, you're always better off, because the fish can feed confidently on that.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of it explained. Let's see if we can catch one, and then it's your turn, and you can hopefully finish off in style today. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to get a single piece of the 2-in-1. I'm just looking for a big bit here. And the key thing with this stuff is you leave plenty of hook point exposed. So I'm rolling that onto the hook. I'm just giving it a little squeeze there, but you'll see
Yeah.
there's loads of hook
hook's
exposed
going,
there.
yeah.
And the reason I do that is this bait's quite tough. It stays on the hook really, really well.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that when a fish picks that up, I'm not having to pull the hook point through the bait
Yes.
and into the fish's mouth,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Feeding wise, I've just got a medium guru cad pot on the end of the pole there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put in there about 20 from half fillet with 2-in-1 micros. Now, depending on how the fish respond to this, I might well increase that. We'll just see how things go. So yeah, I'm just going to check that hook bait. It looks perfect. We're not fishing very far out at all. We're playing on a nice flat area, about 4 metres out here. So I'm just going to ship out there. Just taking care not to spill any bait on the way. We have got another section behind us. I always like to keep an extra section just in case we hook Free Willy and he goes out there. Yeah, I'd always rather have that bit in reserve. So the first thing I want to do when I get out to where I want to fish, I'm actually going to tip my bait in first. I want all that to go down in a nice little pile, and I'm just going to put my hook bait on top. Now there's no wind today, so I've been able to get away with a nice long line between pole tip and float. Now I think there's a fish there straight away. I actually think that, I don't really saw that, but that float didn't quite settle. And I know it's nice and flat there, so I just wonder if we've just dropped it over one's back. So yeah, we can keep that pole tip out of the way just by holding it over reed beds. You'd be amazed how often fish back away in the silhouette of shadows.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially like when you've got a big kinder pot on the end like we have here, you know. So I do think if you can just hold it down the edge, out of the way, then you should do. So there, you saw that. That was a proper bite.
Good bite.
We've got a good fish on by the feel of it. Now when you hook a big fish, key is keep that pole low. So we're just letting that kite round. I'm literally doing nothing at all. I don't want to start pulling it until it starts coming back towards me. It's going to go on its initial run. Still going. We've got that super strong elastic on, so I'm happy just to let it go. And go wherever it wants. As long as it don't go try and go under that platform, let's go, I'm not bothered. And now it's coming back towards me, so now we can start to lift up. Now I am going to use that policy, I always do. I always just get myself 8 or 10 inches out. And the reason for that is a bit of an insurance policy. If all of a sudden it goes daft, I can let go with this hand of that extra elastic I've got out. And basically I've got time to put another section on. Now hopefully we won't be in that situation. I'm straight away much happier with this elastic than the 13 we had on before, because we're in control now, if that makes sense. Feels like another good fish.
Yeah, yeah. Another good positive bite though.
Yeah, you see the importance of just waiting, because otherwise you can end up foul hooking them. If you foul up the fish of the sort of size with that last one, and I think this one's a decent one as well, you're in a world of pain then. It's problematic. And also it's disturbing the peg. Something I will do while I'm playing it, I've got this hand free, I will just chuck a bit bait in and just sort of prime it so that when we go back into that kinder pot in a minute, hopefully there's something just holding them fish there. Here it comes, it's a big ghoster. We've got a few ghosties today, haven't we, between us?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. A great fish. Little truffle. He's probably again close to double figures, but I felt so much happier with that heavier elastic. I don't know whether you saw with that 13, but it was problematic.
Quality fish again.
Guide that one into the net. And he's probably again he's close to double figures, I think. Big old fish. So I'll get him unhooked, and then it's your go, Kurt, I think.
So what's the best way to hook it so we're showing as much of the actual hook as possible?
You can go in through the top of the barrel or through the side, but either way you've got to roll it round the shank, Kurt. So if you, whichever way you fancy basically, but make sure it's rolled round so you've got all the point of the hook stuck out. So you roll it on.
Right,
Let's have a look at that. Absolutely perfect.
And then we give it a bit of a squeeze.
You can give it a little bit of squeeze just to flatten it out a bit if you want to. It'll sit on the bottom nicer then. Yeah, beautiful.
Perfect.
And then in the pot we've just got about 20 of the pieces of 5mm 2-in-1. As I said, the key is very much like what Ben were doing on the feeder and the bomb. It's little and often. We're just trying to basically line them fish up and catch them one at a time this time of year. So the minute you start getting giddy, so just feed your bait now.
Yeah, put it in.
And then you're trying to put your rig straight on top of where you've just fed.
Lower it in nice and gently.
And then we're holding the pole tip, don't forget, over the cover, so your line's basically hidden from view. Nice. Oh, the fish there straight away,
Yeah,
look.
straight away.
Indications. We're just looking for that fast bite. It's hard to sit on your hands, but that's the key with this now. We've got to just wait until we get... There we go. Absolutely perfect. Now, that's a big fish. Take your time. Look at that roll. That is a good fish. And he's just woken up. Right. As I said, pole out. There's fish everywhere. It's trying to go under the paddock straight away. Ideally, we want it to swim out into the lake, don't we? Oh, there you are.
The big fish.
It's in the mouth. Come back to your top kit then for me. If it's trying to go underneath you can come back. There you are, I can hold that for you. And as I say, I always just get a little bit out of the puller kit just in case you need it. I don't think you will on this occasion. You have got that nice bit of control now. And that landing net's just to your left hand side, and I can see it. Sneak round here out the way of the cameraman.
We haven't got much room here, have we?
No, we're working in tight constraints, pal. But hey, we don't moan, do we? Right, so you see why I keep that little bit of back in the puller kit?
Yeah, setting it off.
Yeah, well, as soon as you can get some back, get it back. Yeah. You only need a foot. You don't need to pull to, you'll be able to net them with that. It's just... But again, that was a nice clean bite, wasn't it?
Yeah, lovely. Just as you say, not go too early. You've got to wait for proper, clean, sharp bite.
Yeah. Got another section here if you need it,
I
mate.
think we'll be alright.
I would lift the pole a bit so you can always see where the elastic is and the fish is as well. That's it.
Right, don't be afraid. When they start coming towards you, give them a bit of welly back then. That's it. Yeah, you've got him. Well done. Oh.
You got a photo?
You want a photo?
Yeah, please.
Right, we'll get a photo then.
Just gone down the edge, couple of metres from them reeds. Once again, straight into them. I've gone with a sinker again. 6mm. Pull the rod straight round.
Exactly the same setup as you were out there, but just in the margins.
The margin, it's that.
Well, there we are, pal. A day's fishing. You've seen a few different methods demonstrated. You've had a good fish with Fjuka yourself. Have you changed your mind at all about it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Humble pie for tea. I've caught everywhere. I've caught on the margins, I've caught tight to the island, I've caught in the middle, I've caught on the pole. So where can you go wrong?
Absolutely.
An absolutely wonderful day.
So what would you say the biggest lessons you've learnt today have been?
My casting, improving my casting, and how you need to practice and get it spot on. And little tweaks you've shown me today will hopefully make a bit of difference. I came with an open mind, really open mind. But I think that the joy of the bait is it's so versatile, and it's so easy to use. You don't have to spend time on the bank preparing, it's all ready. Literally cut the bag open and you're off and you're fishing, which makes perfect sense to me.
Is it the angler or is it the bait most of the time?
It's the angler, I think, and it's me, but I'm hopefully improved. And going forward, every day is a school day, and today I've learnt an awful lot. Thanks to Fjuka Bait, really enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. Since this day at Forest Lane Fisheries in April, Kurt has gone on to confidently fish with Fjuka and catch fish all day long himself. He's now joined the Fjuka Anglers Facebook group to post his reports, share tips and test prototypes along with 12,000 others. Our work here is done.